Shane Westerfield and Doug Gordon, and I mean, all those guys, Annie, the Strasburg family that raced in alcohol forever. So those are the people that I look up to just because I lived in that world, and I know how hard it is to do well at what they do well at. And, so they've influenced me probably more than anything.
All right, now, how was your first time experience going down a drag strip for the first time?
Ever?
Yeah, when you first...
It was in 1186 Camaro, 11 and a half, almost 12-second Camaro. I never really had any time. What messed me up more than anything was just getting the staging right. I'd never staged a car. I mean, it's not hard, but the very first time you roll up there and do it, it was crazy. Because they didn't have juniors back when I was little, and we didn't have anything that was close to it. So it was fun. I mean, I got out and I was jumping for joy, that's for sure. But probably the hardest part was just staging it the first time and not looking like a clown. 11-second car for your first run is pretty quick. I mean, it seems slow compared to what we do now, but I enjoyed it. In fact, I think every week I used to go out there. I would be driving out from the end of an event on Friday night, and I'd be thinking about loading the trailer up, the next Friday to go out again. So it was just a constant thing that I look forward to, and I still carry that with me today. I mean, drag racing is, even though I've done many different things and been involved in other sports and other activities, drag racing is what motivates me and keeps me going just to be better every time I go out, better as a driver, better as a tuner, better as a team leader as it would be, and get to hang out with the fans and get to hang out with the other drivers. So it started way back on that very first pass. I was hooked and probably be hooked until the day I die.
So how was your first time experiencing a Nitro car?
It scared the hell out of me, actually. Just because you don't know what to expect. You go up there, you do the burnout, you can feel the horsepower and stuff, but the first time you stand on the loud pedal, as they call it, in a Nitro car, and it sets you back, I swear, I don't know how many times or how many races I went through, the first few hundred feet was just a blur. I mean, it was amazing, how narrow my vision was, and people used to tell me your vision widens as far as what you're seeing out the window. And I swear I was looking down the straw the whole pass, and that's all I could see. And then pass after pass, I started seeing more and more, and pretty soon I would see the signs on the side of the track or see somebody up in the stands or whatever, and that's just after years of passes. But yeah, that first pass was crazy, and I truly got out of that one. I was on cloud nine, man, because I had dreamed about that for 28 years. From the time I first saw one and said I was going to do it, it was 28 years later that I actually did it. And I don't think people could have brought me down off that high for 6 months.
Wow. Now, what do you enjoy most about being a drag racer?
Most popular drag racer?
No, I said, what do you enjoy most about being a drag racer?
Oh, what's the best? The people. Like I said, I've raced a bunch of different things, and there are a lot of great people. But and not just because I'm in the alcohol class now, but the alcohol drivers and the teams are great. But to me, it's the memories that I make with my boys. My oldest Mark and my youngest Ryan. They're 25 and 22 now, and the time that I get to spend with them, the time I get to spend with my friends, those are the memories. And, we talk about stuff from back in the Nitro days, and Jerry Osler, my friend that helps me and has helped me on the Nitro car, and he drives a front engine dragster. We help him on it. We talk about that all the time. We don't always remember when we won or lost, or whether we went this fast or that fast, or we had the quickest ET or whatever, but we remember what so-and-so did in the pit and the people we hung out with. So I think the biggest thing, and I think a lot of people find that in any sport, is it's not what you're doing, it's who you're doing it with. And I believe that to be wholeheartedly, that drag racing is that way, because there's not a better group of people that I've met than when I drag raced, and specifically in the alcohol class.
Now, is there anything that you hate about drag racing?
hate about it? It costs too much.
Yeah.
And I mean, we don't spend as much as some people, obviously. I mean, we pull into the sea of 18-wheelers and multi-car teams and all that when we're running alcohol, and we roll out our car and drag it to the line and do that. But I just wish it didn't cost as much, or I wish I had more money, one or the other. So maybe I'm not doing the right thing. Just to have the spare parts and that, so that we could go to more races and spend more time making memories. I mean, that's it. I don't mind the work. I don't mind the hours. I don't mind the driving. I drive by myself most of the time. Like when I drove to Tulsa, 1,200 miles straight back and forth. And yeah, I mean, none of that really bothers me. It's just I need a money tree, or I need a rich aunt, or a rich girlfriend, or I don't know, something like that, just to make it a little bit easier.
Now, Steve, if you could have the fans remember one thing about you, what would you want the one thing that they remember to be about you?
I think it's for me and for our team is that we just did the best we could with what we had, and that we didn't give up. We just kept going. And even though we were an underdog in a lot of cases, we gave it our best shot. We try to always be friendly with people. We try to help out. I not to pat ourselves on the back, but I think we've achieved that. A lot of the teams, I think, recognize how hard we work, and they respect us for that. So me as a driver, I just, want to be recognized that he did the best that he could with what he had. And, I think that's important. I mean, I don't think you have to be a winner in terms of win lights, and you don't have to be a winner in terms of championships, and you don't have to have the most money. But when people think about you, they smile or chuckle a little bit about how weird you were or how well you did in terms of, the person that you were and the team that you had. To me, that's most important.
Now, when you get out there in the staging lanes, do you have any pre-race rituals or superstitions at all?
I don't. I used to try to create some, like put my left boot on first or my right boot, but I'm too busy thinking about the tune-up and driving to worry about it. So I don't really have too many. I mean, I try to get in the car early. Just so that I have a chance, because with my two boys, they have to belt me in and then get everything else ready. So I try to get in early to give them more time and give me a chance to kind of take a breather. So I spend a lot of time in the car. So if anything, getting in the car early is probably the only thing that I try to do consistently, because I don't want all the other people to hear this and know that I don't like to be rushed. But so I try to make sure that none of the other cars rush me and get me out of my routine. But I don't have any special dances or way I get in the car or whatever. I don't put my gloves on one or the other first or second, but just try to get in the car early.
Now, do you have to do a lot of preparation to get that funny car ready for a weekend?
If we come home and we haven't really heard anything, there's a lot to do with clutch discs and floaters. There's grinding and that takes place there just because we put a new pack in at every run. We'll go through the bearings, go through the heads, maybe check all the valve springs, because that's important to keep the valve spring pressure up. And then just do once over on the car, So there's not a ton of hours that go into it. Just because we don't have a lot of spare stuff to maintain. And, we run rods, maybe 17, 18 passes on a set of rods. So they'll come out after 3 or 4 races. Clutch disc, we go through the trans and check a few things on it, but the B&J is pretty stout, so we don't really have to worry about that too much. So, I mean, from a standpoint of just maintenance stuff, it's more that than it is preparation, but the clutch discs and stuff like that, there's a lot of preparation that goes into that in terms of grinding and getting everything set there.
Now, do you have any favorite tracks to run at?
I like Vegas a lot. I mean, it hasn't been good to us in terms of performance until lately, but I licensed there in my Nitro car. We made some runs there. in the alcohol car early on, and it's close to home. So if I was to say it's big, it's wide, it's well lit, uphill, shut down area. So I'd say I like that one a lot. I like Denver a lot because I lived in Denver in the late 80s and raced down there with my Camaro. Plus they have the Father's Day race, so I get to go with my boys on Father's Day weekend and race over there. So, if I was to pick those, probably those two would be my favorite. There's a lot of tracks that I've never been to that I'd like to go to, so I don't know. I might add a few more, but I'd say Vegas and Denver would probably be the top two.
All right, now where do you get your fire safety equipment from?
We get that from Taylor Motorsports. In fact, the sponsor that I mentioned, Steve Robinson, he's out of Fillmore, Utah, and he got us a new suit this year. So I have a brand new Taylor Motorsports suit. We want to thank Dennis for that for sure, because he took good care of us and did a great job on it. All of our stuff is, the blower restraints, our belts, all of that's all Taylor stuff. We do have a DJ safety bucket, and we run Dees belt or trans blanket. So mostly Taylor stuff. And Dennis has always been helpful to us in terms of information, and when he's on the mic at the races, he always takes good care of us. So we appreciate him and try to support him as much as we can.
All right, now Steve, throughout your drag racing career, have you had any accidents or close calls?
Drag racing, no accidents. I haven't wrecked a car. I mean, I had when I was driving Jack's nostalgia car, we bent the steering rod and ended up when I let the clutch out, it turned and hit the wall. I mean, it was just a weird deal. But as far as like during the race accidents and things, no. In 2007, when we ran that quickest run, we run the 504-301. The run before that, I blew the blower up, and it lit it up pretty good. Blew the body part way off, and I think there was probably 8 or 10 big pieces and a bunch of small pieces of the blower left over. I mean, it was big enough boom that it blew my visor up and that. So, I mean, it didn't get hurt or anything, but that's probably the closest that I've had. I mean, my biggest accidents that I ever had came in either on a four-wheeler or three-wheeler or in a monster truck, but never in drag racing. They're pretty safe.
All right, now, what have been some of the milestones of your racing career so far?
Oh, wow. Drag racing-wise, getting the win at the IHRA event in San Antonio in 2008, that was huge. I mean, that was our only national event win that we have. So if you kind of look at it from a trophy standpoint, that's a big one. I think I've been competitive just because of, some good fortune and great people supporting me and helping me. We've always been pretty competitive when we go out, so I consider that a milestone because I know a lot of people have tried to run all the different classes and some have done well and some have not. I had several deals when I was racing monster trucks that we, did well there, won some events, a lot in the three-wheeler, four-wheeler, but and until we win a regional Wally or a national Wally in the NHRA, I mean, that's something we're shooting for. But we just try to be better every time we go out, and every time we've gone out, I think we've run quicker or faster at the track that we're at than the previous year. And so, to me, I have to kind of chalk those up as milestones. You have to take the small ones where you can get them.
Now, Steve, if you were able to, go to a time travel machine and go back in the time, would you do anything differently with your drag racing career?
I think about that once in a while, and I think, maybe back I drove a Sifka car and stuff like that even before my Nitro car, but I would have probably worked harder at attracting money so that we could have done a better job there. But I think about that, and I just think if I had done that, and maybe got a big show ride or been able to buy a ride or whatever, I don't think that my life would have been better. I think it would have been probably, I don't want to say worse, but it wouldn't have been as good, just because I had to stay home, I had to have a job, I had to take care of my boys, and to me that's my biggest accomplishment in life, in whatever, is just having my two boys. And so I think back, and I really don't think I would have changed anything, especially the last 20 years of having them involved and being able to race with them and making the friends and friends and associates that I have in the racing. I think that's probably where I want to be and where I'm at. So I wouldn't change too